Hi, and welcome to Catholic Mom and Daughter. I'm Jennifer, the mom, and today, while I'm sitting in my car waiting for a practice to finish, I wanted to talk about a subject that's been on my mind a lot lately, and that is how we, as Catholic mothers of teenagers, can stay encouraged and joyful in a very crazy world. So I'm currently the mom of 2 teenagers, and yeah, it is hard. Our hearts break for them when they don't make the sports team, or maybe they don't get invited to that party that everyone else is going to, or when they get caught up in all the craziness that the world has to offer them. It's really hard when they get older to help them with their problems. We can't fix them. Sometimes we can't even cheer them up. When they were younger, it was easy, right? Put on the dance music and go out for ice cream, and the sun is shining in their world again. Well, with teenagers, I find anyway that it's not quite that easy anymore. Now, I know that it's not easy to be a mom at any age or stage. That is truth right there. However, I do have 3 ways to stay joyful and 3 ways to stay encouraged that have really helped me as my family has moved into the teenagers. So that's what I'm sharing with you today. So the first thing that helps me stay encouraged is to remember that God is always, always, always at work behind the scenes in the lives of our children. So we might not realize it, we might not remember it, we might not ever know on this earth the hows, whens, whys, wheres of all the stuff that God was working on behind the scenes for us, but He is definitely helping us. He hears every one of our prayers, and so He's on it, and we can just rest in peace knowing that. I also have a couple of Bible verses that I turn to when things get really tough. The first is Romans 8:28. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Okay, so that is basically another way of saying God can take any bad situation and bring good out of it. And I find that so comforting and encouraging to know that whatever's going on, however difficult or impossible it seems, God can bring good out of any situation. The other verse I really like is Jeremiah 3:33, and it says, "Call to me and I will answer you, and I will tell you of great and unknowable things." So yes, there are a lot of unknowable things that God is doing to help our kids. So we just have to keep calling to Him and keep having faith in Him, right? Jesus, I trust in you. The second thing that really encourages me is to read the lives of the saints, because there have been a lot of people out there who have had all kinds of problems, and now we call them saints. Of course, we always think of Saint Augustine as the poster child for wild teenager who became a saint, but I'm telling you, there are many, many stories of saints that are very similar to Augustine. So I'm just going to tell you briefly about 2 of my favorite. The first one is Blessed Bartolo Longo. So in his teenage years, he drifted away from the Catholic Church. He went to seances. He got mixed up with all kinds of radical people. And he even became an officially ordained priest of Satan. So yeah, his mom wasn't sleeping at night. But then through the help of a friend, he met a priest and he turned his whole life around. So he was the driving force behind the beautiful shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii in Italy. And if you've ever prayed a 54-day Rosary Novena, will know that Bartolo Longo also had a hand in that. Another crazy story that fills me with so much encouragement and hope is the story of Alphonse Ratisbonne. Long story short, he was a Jewish borderline atheist, a Freemason, and he hated the Catholic Church. So he would go to Catholic churches and make fun of the priests and the people and the ceremonies. However, one day he went into a church, and while he was in there, the Blessed Mother appeared to him and said, "What are you doing?" Now, she talked to him, and he was instantly converted. And it was just a few years after that he became Father Alphonse Ratisbonne. So again, none of our children are ever outside of God's grace. The third way we can stay encouraged is to do something very concrete for our teenagers. Jesus has given us a very powerful way to help our kids, and that is to pray and fast for them. And this comes to us right from the Gospel of Mark. The disciples had been unable to help a young boy who was possessed by a demon, and they said to Jesus, "Why can't we help him? Why have we failed?" And Jesus said, "Well, that kind of demon can only be driven out by prayer and fasting." So what prayers? Well, of course, I love the Rosary. It's the most powerful weapon in the world. And at the end of each decade, you can say the Father Gobi prayer for the salvation of our children. And it goes like this. With these beads, I consecrate my children to the Immaculate Heart of Mary for her guidance and protection. Another prayer that I really like, I heard from a Catholic speaker. He said that we can pray that our children will be transformed by the grace of the Holy Spirit. It's just a short, simple prayer, yet it is so powerful because let's think about it. That is what happened to the apostles, right? They were fearful, they were hiding out, but they were transformed by the grace of the Holy Spirit and they went out and changed the world. And the same thing can happen to our children. That same grace is available for them. Now, what about fasting? Well, as Catholics, we're probably all familiar with the concept of fasting, and it doesn't have to be anything outrageous or super hard. It can just be something little, like every day, limit your time on the internet, or maybe give up the cream in your coffee, or maybe give up some of your time, go to a holy hour and pray for your children. Anything like that will do. But fasting and praying together, again, are very powerful, and that's something that we can do in the moment. When we say, I wish I could help, this is one way that we can help, and that encourages me so much. And I love especially the idea that Jesus himself gave us these two things. If you want to help, do this. Now I want to look at 3 different ways that we can stay joyful as the Catholic moms of teenagers. So the first thing that helps me stay joyful as a Catholic mom is to stop comparing my kids to other kids. I think it was Franklin Roosevelt who first said, comparison is the thief of joy, and that is really true. So for me, what that looks like is I have to be really careful of how I spend my time on social media. I especially have to avoid those posts that I call the My Amazing Kid post or My Amazing Life posts, because if you read enough of those, you will definitely start to feel bad about your children and about your whole life in general. Now, I love social media. I love seeing pictures of people's kids and hearing about what they're doing. But if your kid is amazing and is the president of Life Teen and is discerning a religious vocation and has also started a nonprofit to end world hunger, then you go. But that is not my world, and I can't let you steal my joy, so I'm just saying I have to be really careful. The second way that we can find joy in motherhood, especially with teens, is to love our children just for who they are, the way they are. They are each unique, made in the image and likeness of God, and they don't have to be perfect or on the track to sainthood for us to love them. So yeah, maybe sometimes they're doing or saying things that we wish they wouldn't say or do, but they are so much more than just a bad attitude or a series of problems. We're all a mix of good and bad if you stop and think about it. So I'm not perfect. I can definitely love and enjoy my kids even though they are not perfect either. The third way to find joy as the Catholic mom of a teenager is to stop every day and take time to be thankful. Be thankful that you have children, because the reality is not everyone has children, and not everyone has all the children that they started out with, which is really hard. Now, I know sometimes when times are tough or it's been a really bad day, it is hard to stop and be thankful, but in those situations, I like to call on the Blessed Mother and ask her to help me be thankful. Because let's think about it. She had this son who quit a good job and he was homeless and a drifter for years, and then he hung out with other drifters and he eventually got killed, right? So her life wasn't all easy and fun either. So definitely I can call on her and ask her to help me be thankful even for the tough times and just rejoice in the fact that God has entrusted me with my beautiful children. So that is my roundup of ways that we can stay encouraged and joyful as the Catholic mom of teens. It is really hard, again, as I said, and if you're a mom who's out there struggling, having a bad day, or if you've been blindsided by some type of problem that your teen has suddenly come up with, know that you are not alone. Know that I am praying for you. And if you need to see this video, I hope you find it. So I am going to sign off now. It is getting really hot in this car and I think practice is almost done. So as usual, thank you so much for watching today. Catholic moms, let's all pray for each other, and I will see you next time. Bye.